Hey, America wants to see the Eagles, right? Primetime team, one of the best primetime teams in the NFL over the last 7 years. This is a matchup of the only undefeated teams in the NFL. 2-0 Birds, 2-0 Bucks on Monday Night Football. We're going to break it down on Eagles Game Plan.
Hey, give that thing, take action. 1, 2, 3, take off.
Yeah, hey everybody, welcome to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. I'm John Clark along with Mike Quick and Ike Reese, and the Birds basically had a mini bye week already after the second game, a week and a half in between games. What matchups and what are you looking at for this game?
Well, I'm looking at the heavyweight matchup between those Buccaneer wide receivers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, going up against Darius Slay and potentially having James Bradbury back out there. Mike Evans is off to another fast start. We know over 1,000 yards every year in his career. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Mike Evans seems to find a way to get open, averaging over 100 yards receiving through the first 2 weeks, 2 touchdowns. And Chris Godwin, I think a guy who's played a lot of slot football as a wide receiver, they've moved him to the outside this year. So he's getting more looks out at the Z wide receiver spot. I like the matchup because I think our corners are big enough to handle these big guys. Both wide receivers are very physical. I like the matchup with Slay over there against Evans, and then you put Bradbury against Godwin. We're going to do a great job, I believe, being physical at the line of scrimmage, disrupting routes, and making Baker Mayfield hold on to the football a little longer than he wants to.
I love those matchups, and I really look forward to seeing those. But when I think about this team playing against Tampa, I think about the first 3 weeks. You got Bill Belichick, you got Flores, and then now you got Todd Bowles. Some of the greatest defensive minds, some of the most innovative guys on the defensive side of the ball. I think they're going to see a lot of blitzes. They're going to see some zone coverage on the back end. To me, just like they've done, they've made the adjustment so that they're productive, so that they win football games. What's going to be the adjustment against Tampa Bay? Because you know that defense is going to be stout, and they're going to present problems.
Well, stout. Speaking of stout, Jeff Stoutland and the offensive line, they helped get 259 yards rushing against the Vikings. Now, how will they adjust that offense going against a Tampa Bay defense? We've got some tape study presented by Chickies and Pete's. Here's Fran Duffy.
Well, joining us this week here on Tape Study, presented by Chickies and Pete's, the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, Eagles offensive lines coach, Jeff Stoutland. Coach, welcome back to the show, number one. And number two, it's been a fun stretch for you. Obviously, getting ready for 3 of the top defensive minds in football over the course of the first 3 weeks. That's got to be fun as a coach, right? Just getting your guys ready for those games?
Absolutely. We love challenge. We love to compete, and coaches do.
Yeah.
So it's the mission in our job. I keep telling the players that personally, I'm here to service the players. I'm here to put them in a good position, put them in a good spot. I say this all stuff here, this is all like synchronized swimming. If you ever see synchronized swimming, how perfectly the whole thing is. To me, that's the goal for us in a run game and in protections. And that takes a lot. Football's a hard game. To get it all synchronized. It's very difficult, especially with the defensive coaching minds and the players that you have to compete against. It's very challenging.
Well, the synchronicity certainly was there last Thursday night. We'll start in the run game, over 250 yards on the ground. We're going to take a look at one run here from DeAndre Swift and a lot of the work from the guys up front.
Well, the first thing I'd say is that the detail, the technique is everything for an offensive lineman's success. Scheme is important, don't misunderstand me. The technique that's utilized is the key to success. And now what do I mean by that? Surfacing a double team, me and you, like you see Dallas and Jordan do here. Now that just created space. Now that requires time on task. And so this is the key in my opinion. Whether you're pass protecting, which we'll get into next, it's all the key to it all, I'm telling you. All right, so here's an example of your backside block between your tackle and tight end, creating lots of space. And you see Kelsey and Landon are doing the same type of thing, but they have movement. So they have some movement. Jordan and Dallas did not. So now what happens is, like, that's a triangle. Come on, Fran, get a triangle. That's a triangle. Okay, that right there. That's an awesome. And the best thing of Kelsey is he understands, like you see him trying to force that. You see him trying to get that done here. So this is a well-blocked play. And then our back finding that seam, whether it be front side or back side, which he did all night. Obviously, he had the production. So really everybody here involved in this, the blocking of this play, well done. You know, when you're the coordinator and you're calling these plays, to have patience to do that again and again, to me, that's good coaching. That's not getting bored with it, you know? When there's a problem, let's take advantage of it right when we can. Get as much out of it as we can.
Well, a lot of success in the pass game as well. It started on the very first play of the game. We know this Minnesota front loves to be able to bring pressure, and we saw it in the first snap of the game.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, this is kind of a little bit of a unscouted looking deal. This isn't the way they structurally lined up in the last game, even in any other game. So there's a lot of going on here. There's people moving around, kind of amoeba-ish, you know, like radar-ish. So the great thing about our center is he's the best in the world at what he does. But this player right here, he has his mind in terms of where protection should go to is incredible. Incredible how he assesses these things. So here we're going to slide, and you know, how do you know he's not going to do that? You know what I mean? So
Sure.
We end up sliding to protection, and this is an empty back with free back. So we got 3 players out here. It's hard to cover these spaces when you blitz these guys. It's hard to cover all these. You got to cover down on defense now.
Sure.
There's a lot of space, a lot of open space when you do this.
And so many different versions of some of those 6-man pressures here throughout the course of the game. And you guys are able to take advantage later on. But here, this is the first third down. And this is, I guess, you talked about the unscouted look. This is the look they showed so much of the week previous.
Yeah, and this is a double mug look. A lot of people do this in the league. And so you better have a plan for this, because believe me, it's not just this. People do this and this.
Yep.
They have all types of stuff. They do this. They do this, and bring one. Everybody has all these different things. So you better have a plan, and you better have a system as to how you block these types of things, which we do. And then on top of it, you see Kelsey here, see him drop his left hand? Watch his left hand here. Watch as soon as he feels this. Watch his left hand. Yeah.
Right on
Yeah.
the second rusher.
So what's happening here, folks, is you have a center and a running back bumping off a twist stunt, which when you bump off twist stunts, they're usually happening over here with these 2 guys, and they're on the same plane.
Yep.
They're on the same level, so it's a lot easier to do that. When you have a running back who's here and a center who's up here, you have a void, and that's what they're trying to do right here. So both players do an exceptional job at a high degree of difficulty. I don't know if PFF gives you extra points for stuff like this. I don't know, but this is really hard degree of difficulty.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by Pepsi, zero sugar, zero never tasted so good. That's what I like. Toyota, your local tri-state Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy.
How you doing?
Good, brother.
Good.
Congrats on the doc.
Yeah, man, that's been crazy.
Watched it last night.
Thank you. Huddle! Go! For such a little something, you kick it far. Way to go, Bubba. Way to go.
First half, 16 plays.
Oh, the 9-minute drive. I felt it. My favorite drives are the ones we just had. 3 plays, touchdown. I'll do that all the time. Yeah. People are like, you want to run the ball, right? I was like, hey, I like 90-yard touchdown passes too. Hey, great job. Great job.
All right, always fun to see Jason Kelsey mic'd up, and he's talking about what the offensive line has to deal with these last 2 weeks. He says the other teams have brought chaos to the line. What is Todd Bowles going to bring? Is he going to bring the ruckus?
Oh, he can expect a whole lot more of the same. In the Todd Bowles defense, you got to know he's going to bring pressure. And he's going to show you things like these other 2 teams that they've seen that you haven't seen before. Todd Bowles will look at what the New England Patriots were able to do. He'll look at last week's game, and Todd Bowles is going to do a similar thing. Just watch it. There's going to be chaos. There's going to be, as you said, ruckus.
And Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have had two of their toughest games against Todd Bowles' defense back in 2021 in the playoffs and the regular season. Let's bring in Greg Cosell from NFL Films. In that game, playoff game and regular season game, of course, the Bucs did a really good job against the Eagles offense. What have you seen from those games and also what Todd Bowles is doing this year?
John, one thing you absolutely see from Todd Bowles is what we call zone pressure. So he brings pressure but plays zone coverage behind it. And you know each and every year that the Bucs under Todd Bowles are one of the highest percentage pressure teams in the league. So I wanted to go back to week 1 because there's a great example of what he does in terms of attacking both protections and your quarterback. And as you said, the Eagles have had a little trouble with the Todd Bowles defense. So let's look at this sack forced fumble by Antoine Winfield because there's a lot of really good elements to this play. So you want to start with their front. Notice it's a 5-man front. So what does that say immediately? It means the offensive line is responsible for those 5 in one-on-one pass protection. And the back, who's offset to the boundary side of the formation, will be responsible for Devin White, who's the stacked linebacker. So that's how this protection maps out with the 5 offensive linemen and the running back. But now, look to the boundary side of the formation. You see Antoine Winfield, number 31. He's kind of in no man's land. So how do you deal with him? You can't pick him up now as part of the protection. That's on the quarterback, but he's a little far away. You're uncertain as to what he's going to do. So as we run this play, you're going to see that both White and Winfield come. And because of the 5-man initial front, they can't pick this up. It becomes 2-on-1 on the running back because the back does the right thing, picks up White, but now there's no one to pick up Winfield. He gets in clean from distance with speed and velocity, and he's able to sack Kirk Cousins and cause a fumble. So this was all done starting with the defensive front, the 5-man front, dictating the protection, and then White, the stacked middle linebacker. So this is a difficult pressure defense to play against, guys.
I know that Winfield he used in the past playing against the Eagles and very effectively blitzing him. But tell me this, how do the two linebackers play into this? Because they both are very fast. They get all around the field. Devin White, Levante David.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is you have to be aware that White is the predominant blitzer of the two linebackers. It doesn't mean David never comes, but White is the predominant blitzer. So you have to really be aware of him, and he has a great feel for the path of his pressures based on what the defensive front shows. So you can't just assume, okay, he's going one way, I can now move on and block someone else. But White is the predominant blitzer. He's the one you really have to keep an eye on in their pressure schemes.
Great job. Great job. Great win. All right. Short week. All right. You guys got yourselves ready to go. You physically got after them. All right. Great job. Great win. We got a lot to clean up, though. We all know that, right? We're 2-0, and we're going to have that next mindset of how do we get better? 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 Dog mentality. What happened in the past doesn't matter. We got to learn from it. All right. We got a lot to be thankful for. Let's pray, and then break it down.
All right, that was Nick Sirianni after the Eagles go to 2-0, and it's fascinating with this Eagles defense. They have the fewest rushing attempts against them this year. They've given up the fewest rushing yards. It seems like teams are getting down, or they're just not running on this Eagles defense, and the Eagles defense has been looking good against the run as well.
Yeah, that's where I'll start at with this defense. I mean, as an offense, you can't bang your head against the wall repeatedly and expect to have success. And that's what it's like running up against Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Fletcher Cox in the middle of this defense. So teams are starting to abandon the run and focusing on the pass. And while we still need to clean up a lot of stuff in our passing defense and the secondary, get some guys back on the field healthy, there's still a lot of room to grow there. But I look at this last game, and this is an opportunistic defense. When I think about that Vikings game, every turnover that the Eagles got there, it was a big turnover. It came at the right moment to slow down any momentum that the Vikings were starting to build. So when I look back to the last game, I love the fact that we're able to take the ball away from the opposing team's offense, but I also love the fact that we're making teams one-dimensional. We eliminate the running game, force you to throw the ball, and I think eventually we'll get our defense cleaned up on that side of the ball through the air.
And let's bring in Greg Cosell once again. And Greg, we know the Bucs have struggled trying to run the ball last year, this year. So what is the identity of this Tampa Bay offense with Baker Mayfield?
Well, John, they are trying to run the ball. They have a new offensive coordinator, Dave Canales, who came from Seattle, but he has a Rams background as well because of Shane Waldron, who was the offensive coordinator in Seattle, where Canales came from. So they're trying to be balanced. But I think what really stands out on film, and again, we just have 2 weeks, so that's all we have, is that offensively in the pass game, Baker Mayfield is playing with a really good sense of timing and rhythm. They're a protection-first team. They want to protect him. That's number one. So let's look at a play from last week, and it really shows all these things we're speaking about. I want to start with the idea of protection first, because you're going to see them move the tight end, Cade Otton, into the backfield. And now you have 2 to protect in the backfield against any kind of pressure look. And that's really important, and certainly against the Eagles. And what they're going to run to the wide side of the field is a concept we've seen everybody run. The Eagles have it as well. It's called dagger. So you're going to have the inside receiver run kind of a vertical route across the field, and then Godwin is going to run the dig ball. So now, as I said, the other part of this is we start this play. Otton can kind of release inside because there's no pressure. It's a 4-man rush. And then you see the route concept. But look when Baker Mayfield starts to throw this ball. Look at the timing and anticipation. Godwin is just starting his break because Mayfield saw the coverage. It was quarters, cover 4, and he was able to throw this with great timing and anticipation and ball location. Now, we've seen that, guys, through 2 games. Obviously, the Eagles defense is a different and better animal than what they faced in the first 2 games, but that's what the tape has shown with the Bucs offense through these first 2 games of the season.
Greg, how can you talk about their offense without talking about Mike Evans? He's a guy in this offense that's going for over 1,000 yards every season he's played in the National Football League. How can you talk about Mayfield, their passing game, without mentioning Evans?
You're right. And he's predominantly their boundary X receiver, meaning he lines up to the short side of the field, and he's a vertical receiver for his size. He can run every route. He's physical. So the question is, Q, do we think that, Slay matches up with him, just like he matched up to Jefferson to some degree? Is that the way it's going to be again? Because Evans, they'll move him a little bit, but certainly not as much as the Vikings move Jefferson.
Welcome back, everybody, to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. These guys have done a good job of calling their shot. Let's see if they're ready for prime time calling your shot. Bucks and Birds, call your shot, Mike Quick and Ike Reese.
No, Ike's been good at it. Ike,
okay, give him the floor.
Okay, well, listen, last week didn't go very well. I tried to go on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going back to the defensive side of the ball.
That's where you know your stuff.
Right? That's where my bread is buttered. Let's go with the defensive tackles. I just don't know how do I want to phrase this. I'm talking at least 3 sacks from our D tackles. I don't know if I want to give one guy 3 sacks or do I want to give all 3 of them a sack apiece. Fletcher, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter. I'm predicting they all get at least 1 sack apiece Monday night.
I cannot believe that he didn't add Sweat to that mix. Sweat, the way he's playing?
I just wanted to go with the D tackles.
All right, I'm going to go wide receiver. A.J. Brown, of course. A.J. Brown. This is going to be your day. A.J. Brown's going to go off against the Bucs Monday Night Football.
I like how he's talking right to him.
Yeah, there's no numbers, though. You attach no numbers to it. Give me some numbers.
Okay, let me give you this. 5 to 6 for 115 yards.
I'll take that.
I like that.
End zone, fantasy football.
He's got to get one. He's going to hit
at least 1 touchdown.
Yeah, he's going to
he broke Quick's record last year, so maybe he's going to do it in game again this year. By the way, I'm thinking a defensive touchdown from one of the tackles, busting up the center and Baker Mayfield and get one into the end zone. That's what I'm going with.
I like that.
All right, I just got to throw myself out there. Ike is, of course, 1-0, lost last week. But the Birds are trying to go 3-0 for a second straight season for the first time in 30 years. Consistency, fast starts. Let's see if they can do it. He's Mike Quick. He's Ike Reese. I'm John Clark. Thanks for watching Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. We'll see you next week. Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by Pepsi. 0 sugar. 0 never tasted so good. That's what I like. Toyota, your local tri-state Toyota dealers. Proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy.